comes to talk about understand social issues that bodies as Christians. Welcome to this week's edition. Our topic for the discussion is Unwind new strategies for the rest of the year. For the discussion with us, we have joined by Mr. Sorry, a psychotherapist and also a big management consultant. And our second guest for tonight's edition is Dr. Eric Owusu, who is a psychologist and also lectures who has home comes. Thank you very much for joining us once again tonight. On the same day, when we the previous Genesis chapter 2, verse 2 to 3, we learned that God rested on the seventh day after creation. So we get to understand that even God himself, who is our creator, decided to rest the seventh day of creation. So we have scripture. Today we are going to understand the significance of resting and also the interview of China relation where flow is a Christian insight. Biblical and practical studies Christians can develop and in listening and also in planning for the rest of the year. And as I did share your own, how you see Minister Tijaron, who strategic and management consultant and also a psychotherapist. And also have you with me, Dr. who is a psychologist and also lecturer who has all campus. You are welcome to this.
Thank you.
Is a whole day was wonderful.
Yes,
Thank God.
this is so indeed.
Thank God. So tonight we are going to discuss both the biblical and the spiritual and the physical when it comes to wrestling, and running. So I have a few questions that we need be discussing. So I'll ask what is the benefits of wrestling? So Mr. Tate, can you go on first?
Resting, it means, in simple terms, allowing the body to go through the natural process of healing, where God in His own wisdom has created a certain cycle, and that if the cycle is repeated, it allows systems, the brain to shut down, allow toxins, so that the system, your body can recharge itself. Your mind is here activated for the next task. Maybe I can come back later on.
Dr. Eric, please.
Yes, so I also add from where he has just ended, so that's a healing process. So the highest level of rest is sleep. So apart from sleep, there are so many other ways that you can rest the body. Essentially, the body shouldn't be actively doing what it considers to be the normal activity. So you should be singing, chewing, jumping, talking. It should, all the major activities ends. But then some essential functions will continue to be active, like breathing, circulation of your blood, your heart working, so that it will keep you alive. And also continue with the process of the healing, because the toxins will be carried away, will be coming from the blood vessel, so that it goes to the appropriate cortex to be expelled. Apart from healing, it also helps the body to restore itself. The human being is an organism that is self-reliant. It's able to rejuvenate. So after a day's work, when it has lost a lot of stuff, it is able to organize and come back to function again. And it is rest that orchestrates this whole process.
All right, thank you very much, sis. So from the explanations given, in my understanding, resting is a natural phenomenon or a natural principle that every human has to follow.
Exactly.
So the tweets I can go ahead and say that the last thing God created was rest, because He rested on the seventh day. So He established rest, which every human has to follow, since we bear the characteristics of God in a biblical aspect. So we can all say that God, the last thing God created was rest, because He established that. Thank you very much, sir. So I'll go on to ask. This is a question for Dr. Eric. So, why is it important to take time to unwind before making new plans for the rest of the year?
So again, God, if you are going the biblical, God created seasons and time. And so daily you need to rest, okay, for the body to reactivate itself. But as you go on, just like any organism created by God, plants, you can't harvest them anytime you want to harvest them. They
Yes.
have time that they have to manufacture food, feed themselves, grow for us to also see them as food. So if you take maize and then you put the corn and put it in the ground, you can't take it after 2 weeks. You have to wait. So the human body also needs the same system. And you see, when you sleep, the mind performs a wonderful activity. In fact, if you don't sleep, it's possible you can't even remember a lot of things, including your own name. In fact, in the military training, they deprive them of sleep so that they can observe how they can function when they lack this essential commodity. You can have hallucinations, you can even start screaming, chasing people, running away, just to see how, when your brain is really under stress, you can perform. So when we sleep, the brain is able to organize all your experiences for the day. Okay, now looking at the whole year, when you start, it gets to a point that you need to reorganize yourself. So in other jurisdictions, they have vacations. Here it's difficult because of our economic difficulty. We need to have vacations where you go and then relax yourself, not by sleeping per se, but staying away from the activities that your body is.
Sometimes it's only when we take off from routine and we are able to reflect. That's where we even become aware of who we are, the mistakes we have committed. But if every day you're on the perspective, we take rest, and from a biblical perspective, we rest.
Sleep is an important, in fact, it can organize your whole body. That is why we are told not to eat immediately and then go to bed. Because when you do that, you're going to keep the body active. Your stomach and your digestive system will be actively working. And so you wouldn't benefit from the full part of the sleep cycle. So that's also an important part that we should be considering.
That's interesting and then insightful to know. Even with machines that we use in the house, there are times that they also need rest. There are times that you'll be using your computer and then you'd have to refresh it for it to work perfectly for you. Thank you very much. Moving on to our next question, Mr. Athejapon. what are the indications or signs that an individual needs rest? You know, you work throughout the day, you work throughout the months, the years. What are the indications, the signs that you need rest?
Okay. Because you mentioned the computer, I'll just give a simple analogy.
Oh, sure, sir.
Imagine you want to perform a task, and within a matter of 30 seconds, you hit the enter button maybe 5 or 10 times. What will happen to your computer?
It won't. I think there'll be some sort of clash on it.
Or it will hang. Why?
Yes.
It
Because
needs time
time
to
refresh.
process.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing, even with machines, like you mentioned. So sometimes you notice that you may take a textbook. You read the first line, the second line, and you don't even seem to understand what you are doing.
Yes.
Okay? You are not even aware where, for instance, your shoes may be lying. Suddenly, you can't, like Doc said, even recall some of the very names, your teachers, your good friends. You become very impatient, you are yawning, and you know that the body is speaking to you. And the question is, sometimes we are not even aware that the body is telling us, please, I need a break. And the body has a way of shutting down if we don't respond. You see somebody in a trotro with all the noise and the person is fast asleep.
Yeah.
You get the point. So these are the signals. So what you need to do is to monitor yourself. When I'm tired, what are some of the alarm bells? You get the point. So that you can also step back and respond to your body.
With the explanation you give, I think I can relate to that. When I was a student in Legon, I quite remember I had one course which involves maths, and throughout the semester, I did not really get the course. I did not really understand it. So a day to the exams, throughout throughout the day, I was just learning. Throughout the night, I was just learning, and then I felt so tired that I needed to rest. But then I was still, though I did get to understand it at a point in time later in the evening. I still did not sleep. The following morning, I just washed down and went to the exam hall. And then when I got to the exam hall, something that I've gotten to understand now, I saw the same question and I wasn't able to remember what I've learned. And I was even dozing off in the exam hall. So I think when the signs are there that as humans you have to rest, I think we have to follow and then rest. So, doctor, please, do you have any further explanations to give or further common signs that?
Yes, so like he rightly said, if you refuse to listen to the sign or observe the signs, the brain will shut you down. It will take it. So that is why sometimes you even sleep at places you shouldn't sleep. You even yawn at places you shouldn't yawn. In fact, you wake up early in the morning, especially those of us who abuse staying awake, using chemical drugs and coffee just to be able to complete certain tasks. You begin to realize that when your body doesn't get a sleep because you have set some kind of override, eventually all the arrears will be piled down for you. Now, you may not fall asleep again, or you may become jumpy, or you beg for sleep and sleep wouldn't come. Then your body has gotten to a level where in TSA, they say, "Yatra, matra, be careful."
Be careful.
You've gotten to a level where the brain is not going to even give you signals again. Then there is also one common symptom or sign that when you are not sleeping or you're not resting, I think we are focusing too much on sleep because resting is more than sleep. So I can just be seated and be watching my favorite movie. I'm resting because when I'm watching a movie that is relaxing, it's not like watching a lecture note or listening to a lecture note where you need to grasp concepts, understand what is being said. This one, whether you understand it or not, you'll be smiling, you are happy, you are enjoying it. Or you lie down to listen to your favorite music. Or you meet some friends and then you are chatting over. These are all part of rest. So it's not just about sleep, sleep, sleep. And so sometimes those people who have sleep disorders, they become obsessed with, I'm not sleeping 8 hours, I'm not sleeping 7 hours. And I ask them, what do you need the 7 hours for instance? Because we are differently organized. There are some people, they get 5 hours and they are refreshed with sleep. Others will get 8 hours and they feel tired. It means that even though they slept, they didn't get to the level where they entered into the rest position, where we call the REM, where the brain shut down completely. They will call you several times, you're not here. At that level, they have to shake you before you know that some people are in your space. So sometimes when these things don't happen, some people even withdraw because in their mind they need rest, but they're not getting it. Now, look at a nursing mother, for instance, first timer. For the first time, there's another human being in the world who is suckling breast and it's not making you sleep. They sleep hour interval, wake up, want to suckle, so you're not going to sleep. And then you feel so exhausted. And you ask them question and then some of them black out. They won't even answer you because what you are saying is like they are in Botswana and you are in Ghana trying to communicate to them using your natural voice. So some of these things, like he said, you won't be able to even identify that they are telling you that you need rest. And then so sometimes we just teach them relaxation techniques because you're not getting the sleep the natural way. You have to find other ways to compensate for the lost so that you can get the rest. If not exactly what you needed, you will get some amount that we can call pass mark to help you to move on.
All right. Thank you very much, Seth. So, moving to our next point to discuss, Seth, please, can you share any effective techniques or practices that an individual can develop or follow to reduce stress and also recharge their mental energy? Doc, I'll start with you. Any techniques for us to follow?
Yeah, there are a number of techniques. It's important you document your own stresses. At least if you know your enemy, you can fight them better than you have no idea what your enemies are and you are just throwing your arms in the air. So you should identify and then write them down. Then you avoid the one that can be avoided. Some stresses can be avoided, so you avoid them. There are some that you cannot avoid. You have to manage them. So that's why we do stress management. We don't do stress elimination. There's nothing like stress-free life. There is nothing like I have a stress. You have, but you might be in the capacity to manage it such a way that it doesn't impact on your life so immensely. So you document that. Then if you know the ones you can avoid, the ones you can't avoid. For instance, you have a very troublesome boss who who is not appreciative of anything you do. You can avoid him. He's your boss. The only thing you can do is to stop working there, and you can't do that in this kind of economy. So whilst you are trying to look for a better job, you manage him. So for instance, you do the extra mile, work harder, then you take time to rest. Okay, you learn relaxation techniques. Then you should also document what works best for you. Most of us focus a lot on the problem and not the solutions. So for instance, I don't have a good job, but I have a wonderful family that supports me. We are not interested in that. We are focusing until I don't have a job. Nobody cares about me. But you are not dying of hunger. You are not living on the street. But someone is working and is almost on the street because you can't even afford. So you document, we call it the gratitude. Either you have a gratitude journal or a gratitude jug where you document, you write specifically things that are working instead of focusing. And most people have diaries and they write all the troubles of the world in it. We don't do that. Diaries, you keep things that when you look at them, you feel good in them. When you write things you don't like, you destroy them. It shouldn't last more than 24 hours because when you do that, you're telling your brain you don't need this in your life again. When you keep something in a diary, you are telling your brain that it should keep reminding you of those troubles so that you become sad. When you are not happy, you can't enjoy rest. So if you have a net happy life or positive life, you need a small amount of rest to rewind your system.
You need a small amount of rest to rewind your system. So if you just join us, this is another edition of Let's Talk About. And today we are talking about unwind and re-strategizing for the rest of the year. And I have here with me Dr. Eric Owusu, who is a psychologist and also a lecturer at UHAS, Hohoi campus. And also Mr. Atejapon, who is a strategic and a management consultant and also a psychotherapist. So on the same question, Mr. Atejapon, on what ways or what techniques can an individual develop when it comes to rest and also planning. Since you are a strategic consultant, can you give us some strategic plans that we can work on when it comes to rest and also planning for the rest of the year?
Yes, I just want to build on what Doc said. Sometimes we think we know ourselves. The first thing about planning is self-awareness, right? So I'll start from the rest part. Are you aware of the food that when you eat, you become restless, for instance? Are you aware of the time that when you eat, you're unable to sleep, for instance? Are you aware of the place that when you go, you feel that you are very close to nature or to God, for instance? Are you aware the amount of time you spend on your mobile phone, either for WhatsApp, screen time, and how it affects you productively or otherwise? So like Doc is saying, you have to journal all these things and try to flag out which one adds value to your life and which one becomes something like a distraction. You get what I'm saying?
Get you, sir.
Self-awareness is key. If you don't know yourself, you don't know what you want, you don't know where to go. And I'm talking about not head knowledge. Emotionally, who are you? What gets you upset? What is it that motivates you? So these become the building blocks. All right? Now, let me go to the second part of the planning. The planning is that, why are you planning? What is it that you want to resolve? Are you aware of what you want to resolve? And sometimes it is good to do what we call self-reflection and do some mental mapping. How would I look? Who do I want to be like in the next 5 years? So picture yourself in the next 5 years. You dream, okay? And try and capture that image. You either draw or you document. It may be hazy, but that is who you are. And maybe God may be speaking to you. All right? So the next thing is that of all these things that I've been able to picture, how do I concretize this idea? It's like conceptually, how would it look like? If I'm successful, how would success look like? So write them down. If I'm on, I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if you're able to define success, naturally it gives you energy. And then you don't even see problems because you see, okay, I notice that if I do 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, this is how it looks like. And for me, you can ask my children, when you come in our home, I'll even draw and paste them down on the wall. So every morning when I get up, I'll have a look. Because I know that when I'm stepping out, there are a lot of distractions. But I want to manage that success that I'm seeing. Is it real? Or is it because maybe the previous I ate some banku and tilapia and now maybe I got overly excited? But the more I use visualization techniques, the more I bring reality to my dreams. So these are the entries, comments, and I think I'll pause when there are other questions, then I can continue. Allow Doc to.
Thank you very much, sir. So, learning, one of the ways to battle stress or one of the ways to rest is self-awareness and also keeping a journal of the things that brings value to your life. Thank you very much, says for sharing. And also, I would want to ask how one can balance the need to relax with the pressure to remain productive, and especially in demanding professional environments. You're a salesman, you have a target, and then you are not meeting targets. And how do you balance that when it comes to the professional environment? Sir, please start with that, Mr.
Yes, you see, let me go back to Genesis. I think when God created us, he said everything was perfect. And I think in Genesis 1:28, he said he blessed the man and the woman. And he gave us dominion over all his creation. So there's something that we have. The question is, when you get up in the morning or before you sleep, are you able to engage with yourself? Are you able to engage with your creator? God, I'm struggling. with my targets. I'm struggling with keeping a balance between life, vocation, whatever. You get the point? You need to have an honest conversation and say, I'm struggling because I'm not doing 1, 2, 3 right. And your strength is not to do finger pointing. Your strength is to look into yourself. Maybe you are in the wrong company. Maybe your timekeeping is not okay. All right? Maybe you are not even using the right language. Document them and then work through. You get the point?
Yes,
so
sir.
when you leave, you are better prepared for your task. Don't think prayer will do the preparation for you. So prepare for the physical work. But when you prepare, you know what to do, what time to go, when to report, how to write your report. Yeah? God, I've done my part. If there's any gap, draw my attention. All right? When I meet a good client, speak to me in a language that I can understand so that I can push my targets. If I go to the workplace and my boss speaks to me in a way that I'll know to accept it, give me the language so that I can be useful. So be aware that you are a live spiritual being, the same creation of God. And once you align and tap into that glory, He'll manage it for you. But when you think that I'm strong, I've been to school, I know it all, that's where you fail. We are never strong. So it's a question of balance. And you cannot leave make out.
So force out balance and abomination to God, but just wait is His delight. So we have the human responsibility, and then we have the sovereignty of God. So you do what you can do as a human, and also you leave the rest to God.
Yes, the pain, let me count. The pain is that we spend hours shouting, praying, and disturbing God when the real work has not been done.
Exactly, exactly. In fact, a lot of us try to do God's work. God will never do anything that He has prepared you to do. There are things He has created you and given you power to do them. To put food in your mouth, God will never do it for you. To go and get up and go and prepare food, He won't do it. So you can pray and have blood flowing up, He will not do it. He doesn't become God if He does that for you. And He does things that are beyond your capacity. Then you will say, this one is God. Then you can praise Him. But if He gives you food every day, you forget it. That's why a lot of us don't even pray Thanksgiving prayers, because it's normal, But when the things become abnormal and it happens, then we can now attribute it to God. So talking about balance again, you see, the workplace is meant to drain you. It's meant to collect from you. It's meant to receive what you have. So how do you refill what you've lost? There should be a power source. And most of the time, it is home. So if you have challenges at home, then definitely you're going to be deficient before you get to work.
Right.
Apart from that, too, when we spend time in the office and we get drained, we should have people, social support. It's a wonderful tool. There should be people that you can talk to. So, for instance, you go to work and your boss drains you. You can see that the guy has drained you, or the task was so daunting. You should come home, and then whilst you are talking about it, there should be somebody listening and encouraging you. Someone should even tell you, I know, Eric, I know you can do this. You feel like you can't do the work again because you are so exhausted. But someone who knows you very well should be able to encourage you. There should be a place that you can go and rest to start the new you, and then somebody who is also empowering you. But if you use all your time to work and there's none to socialize, to get refilled, there's no wife, there's no mother, father, sister, brother, somewhere, a friend that could refuel you, then you are doing yourself a lot of disservice. Then it is also important that we learn about self-care. You can never give anybody anything if you yourself you don't have it. Right. So if you don't have enough energy, you can't energize anybody, or you cannot empower anybody. If you have not rested and then gotten refilled, you cannot go and give to your boss what he wants from you. So you would rather get to the office and do worse, and then a cycle will be formed. Because if he gives it to you and you feel exhausted, and you're not able to get refueled, you go and then you go and do worse. And then he gives you a worst case scenario. Then a negative cycle will begin. So everybody should assess themselves and then identify important things that refuel them. Mine is movie. I watch movies a lot. What works for you? Don't say you're going to watch movie because I like movie. Maybe that wouldn't work for you. Others want to go and chat with friends, with family members. They want to, when they get to, they want to tell their parents what happened in the office. If it works for you, you have to keep it up. But apart from that, you should learn other techniques, okay, like personally, because there are sometimes that you come home and there's nobody. So how do you refuel yourself? You are not sleeping. What do? You realize you couldn't sleep. You just did 2 hours, and already your mind is telling you to not work. How do you know that it will not work? Your brain knows you and feels that with the troubles you've gone through, it is supposed to make you alert so that you can process this thing properly before you sleep. So it took away about 4 hours of your 6 hours sleep and helped you to organize these things and gave you 2 hours. And you start thinking it will not work. Now, whatever you think is true. If you think you can't do it, you can't do it. If you think you can do it, then you can do it. So refueling starts from your mind, your capacity to accept that you are empowered, you are created with power, a lot of power to do greater things. If you don't believe that, then step out to go and work.
Oh, thank you very much, sir. Rest and refuel. On that note, we go for a short break, and then after that, we continue that discussion. So let me remind you, viewers, that we are live on our social media platforms, both on YouTube and then Facebook, Trinity United Church Legon. You can send your questions and comments on our social media platforms or to our WhatsApp number 050 157 9996. Thank you very much.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians.
Welcome back, viewers. Let me remind you, viewers, that you are live on our social media platforms, both on YouTube and then Facebook, at Trinity United Church Legon. You can also send your questions and comments on our social media platforms or to our WhatsApp number 050-157-9996. And tonight, our discussion for this episode is Unwind and then Restrategize for the rest of the year. And we're having a discussion based on the themes of psychological benefits of taking intentional breaks, techniques for unwinding and then reducing burnout, how to mentally reset and gain clarity for future planning, strategies for effective mid-year strategizing, balancing personal well-being with professional demands, building resilience to adapt to unforeseen changes. And I have here with me resource persons who are good in this field. And I have Mr. Atejapon, who is a management consultant and also a psychotherapist. I also have here with me Dr. Eric Owusu, who is a lecturer at UHAS and also a psychologist at Trust Hospital. Thank you very much for joining us once again. So we'll be moving on with our discussion. And Mr. Tajapon, I would want you to help us with some realistic and achievable goals for the remaining of the month. So how we can set these realistic and achievable goals for the remaining of the month. So maybe beginning of the year, we planned, but then we seem not to be achieving these goals or these plans. So how can we set? So some of us feel that we failed because we are in the middle of the year, 7th month, and then we've not really achieved what we plan on achieving. So how then can we strategize or set realistic and achievable goals in the remaining of the month so that the year doesn't end on a bad note?
Yeah. I think it's a good question, and you are not the only one. Sometimes we all struggle through some of these things. But one thing I want to highlight is the power of the mind and what sometimes we call mindset. Please take note. Mindset. If you use the word fail, you fail. You get the point?
Yes, sir.
So you have to condition yourself, and the Bible talks about it. So allow me to go to scripture. I think it's 2 Corinthians 10:14. Yeah, we demolish strongholds. And sometimes we think that the stronghold are demonic strongholds, some occultic altars. When you read further, it said arguments. Is that not it?
Yes.
What again? Pretenses. Yes. Yeah? And thoughts. That is in conflict with the teachings of Christ. So, do you believe that you are capable of doing 1, 2, 3? And if yes, what are some of the things that when you look, you see, don't, like Doc is saying, don't look at the short-term elements. So short-term elements might be self-fulfilling. How do I want to grow myself so that I can be useful in the next 5 years? You use the word resilient. Yeah, that is human language. In scripture, resilient means, yeah, working by faith, based on the word of God, and being sensitive to the promptings of the Holy Spirit. You get the point?
Yes, sir.
So when you walk by faith, you know I'm working with the word of God. When I'm going astray, God will warn me. And that's where you need the promptings of the Holy Spirit. So for you to become resilient, you need these 3 core, minimum. Okay? And then you said to yourself, in the past, I wanted to do 1, 2, 3. Why is it that I was unable to do 1? Self-reflection. Now, let me take them in smaller units. I'm repeating myself. Smaller units. You are not competing with anyone. How can I convince myself that over time, I'm making progress, steady progress? The small progresses that I'm making, how can I celebrate those landmarks? Yeah? So if you cannot celebrate those small entry points, even when the big ones have been done, you will notice them. So, oh, Father, thank you that I wanted to do this. I've been able to do. Yeah? Give me the energy, the zeal, and the connection and the tongue, like Doc is saying. Yeah? So that I can move to the next step. And thirdly, we get into an era where we think holding gadgets is the way to go. I disagree. Document. Even if you want to use your gadgets, document them. I'll do the 2-way approach. I use my laptop and I use hard paper. Because there was a time my laptop crashed and I noticed that the laptop had become part of me. You know? So take a hard book of life. Document who you want to be, keep it on this thing. Each time, say every 3 months, I'll visit what I've recorded. Am I on track or am I off track? Who in this work environment, when I come to church, can I get hold of 3 or 4 people led by God who I can go and say, please, can you mentor me? You get the point?
You
These
say.
are the things that you need to embrace. This whole place is full of garden. Whatever I do, like Doc is saying, it's not every time that I go home and say, I come here, I say, God, you created man and placed man under a garden. So once I'm under a garden, I'm closer to you. And I'll come walk around. It's a beautiful place. Empty myself, say a prayer, thank God, and I go home and I'll continue with my family. So I think I've given you some few hints. I'll pause and also let Doc fill in. Yeah.
Yes, I was enjoying this thing that I've lost the question he asked.
So how we can set realistic
Yes,
goals
yes.
and achievable goals.
So every human being should know who they are. That is one. And then also know where you are coming from. You are created by God, and He created everybody in His image, which means that He's not a failure. You are not a failure. The fact that what you have attempted to do, you couldn't do it the way you wanted it. The way you wanted it doesn't mean that you have failed. In fact, between success and failure are a lot of things. And so if you see only two events, success and failure, anytime you are not succeeding, you think you are failing. But then it's possible that you have achieved, you have not succeeded, but you have achieved something. So, for instance, it's better to reward the effort you are making towards the end product than only targeting the end product. So you want to you want to do a degree, and there's no hope, there's nobody to help you. You've been able to buy forms, you should reward yourself.
Yeah.
So like he said, you should break it down into smaller bits, reward yourself, tell yourself, I've done so well. So if I've done so well, if I've been able to do this, then I can do the other things. And then you do the next and do the next. Don't look at the end, because sometimes the end can be frightening, because you have no money in your account and it's going to take 4 years. How am I going to feed? These questions will put you away from getting to your targets. So buying a form is very realistic than completing 4 years university. So after you've done that, then you should act. Actions. You see, the mind is said that the mind can do anything. Anything. It can do anything. It's so vast. That's the God spirit in us. It can achieve anything. But when you think something, you should feel it. Feel that you have completed school. That feeling is good. That feeling is good, but the feeling that I couldn't complete is bad, and that can discourage you. So when you get this feeling, then act the feeling. So start acting. Do the very things that can take you there. So talk to somebody, for instance, go to the university. Sometimes the course you even want to do can stress you because you have no basic skills, or it's not something that you have passion for. So by talking to somebody, you have an idea that you never had, and that can make you or help you to choose a course that you can actually complete. Then get people with connected interests, because they can motivate you. You know, when you are doing something, then you are the only person who is doing it. Like I always say, this guy, what's his name? The Microsoft guy, Bill Gates. You see, when you have something in your mind, you are the only person who can achieve it. You are the only person who can understand it 100%. Anybody you talk to will find faults. It's easy because they didn't dream it. They didn't produce that thinking. But when you produce it, you are definitely going to be looking at several scenarios and come out with the best from this same mind. But when you give it to me, I'm not going to do the same thing and I can find something wrong. You have fine-tuned that thought, and you are the only person who can implement it to the letter. So you need to believe in what you think, and then also seek for support. Make sure that the support people give you are in connection to what you want. Sometimes people will discourage you. When people discourage you, they are only telling you to refine. They're not telling you to give up. Refine, work on it in a better way, like a supervisor. If he puts red pen here and then tells you to go and change this, he's not telling you to abandon the project. He's adding what he thinks will work. Sometimes that's not what works. So believe yourself, get support, and then implement the thoughts that come to you. and then you'll be on the way to become Bill Gates.
Thank you very much, sir. So the pivot of achieving your goals or your vision is your mindset, viewers. So you have to think, feel it before you be able to achieve it. So if you're not thinking and then feeling it, I'm sorry, you're likely not to achieve your goals. Thank you very much, Sis. So I also want to ask, middle of the year, you've given out strategies by which we can achieve or set realistic and then achievable goals. I would also want to ask, would that not bring pressure on an individual? So, are there any psychological barriers that people might face when it comes to planning in the middle of the year? Though you've given us strategies that we can follow or help us to achieve these goals. So, are there not any psychological barriers that we might face? And whilst planning or working on thinking and feeling? And if there are there ways that we can overcome them? So I'll start with Doc. So are there any psychological barriers one might face? And then are there ways that we can overcome such barriers?
One of the common one is some of us, we look at people's failure, especially if they are connected to us. So my dad couldn't do this, and my brother couldn't do this, and nobody has ever done this. And that alone is enough to prevent them from doing what they dream of doing. So looking at what people think or what people did is one of the greatest barriers to achieving our dreams. In fact, you are uniquely created. You are different. In fact, that's why you can have 5 siblings and they are all different people. One person wants to be a musician, another person wants to play football, another wants to be a medical doctor, another one wants to go and sell dog chains, another person wants to go and do galamsey, another person wants to go and farm. We are differently created. And for each person, whatever you think of and you apply your hands, you can succeed in it. And so if you don't go by it, then you have the challenge. Another problem is also, in my view, is the over reliance on spirituality. In most of us, we want to believe the machinations of witchery and of and of some ekpelepeji and some other forces that are beyond our capacity. Again, that's why I said those things, you leave them to God. Leave them. You can't do anything about them. Just give it them. But when if you do them, you say, I went here and I got this. I saw this person. Nobody can help you. It's only God. So leave them. And then the ones that God has empowered you, apply them. So believing that somebody is manipulating you alone can be a stumbling block. Psychologically, you believe it. Like I said, whatever you think is true. So if you believe somebody is manipulating you, that's why you're not succeeding. That's also true. So why wouldn't you change that belief and make it that it will happen? I can do it. And you will see, you will find yourself doing some of these things to the latter end.
Oh, insightful. Thank you very much, Doc. Mr. Thejapon, do you have any?
Yes. I want you to pay attention to the 2F: fear and faith. I'm repeating myself. Fear and faith. The devil always comes to you and put fear in you. So if you're seeking counsel and the person talking to you, you begin to feel that, oh, this one will not work, I'm afraid. Ask yourself, is it God speaking to me? So each time you have to calibrate, am I fearful or I'm holding on to my faith? That's the first thing. Yeah? So whatever you do as a child of God, your strength is your faith in Christ. All right?
Yes.
So pay attention to that. The second one is a question of be realistic. Simply be realistic. You cannot change the whole world overnight. What is it that you can reasonably do that you feel motivated to push yourself and urge yourself on? I think I've mentioned this in the past. And I'll still repeat that. You have the next 6 months. Don't look back, but look forward. All right? Yes. Whatever the cankerworm they've eaten, God says, I'll restore. Can you hold on to that? But God will only restore when you have clarity what you want to do. God, this is what I want to do. You're asking me not to lean on my own understanding, but this is what I've been able to do. Is that my path? Is that the way you wired me? Is it my place where I can be useful? God will speak to you. Or he will send somebody to make a statement, and immediately you know that there's something missing. Then you can go back and revise your concept note. You know, this head contains too many things. If you don't document, maybe 30 minutes after this conversation, you'll forget. So your strength is in documentation. Your strength, again, is in curiosity. For you to go far, please walk with curiosity. Yeah? Curiosity. Be curious about everything. When you feel like, there's sometimes people like, I feel like. You feel like what? Be curious about what you're feeling. Is it God speaking to you? Is it a business opportunity? Is it a sign of warning? Don't just let it go. Be curious. Be curious about people who you think can help you. And have a checklist. If I talk to this person and I hear 1, 2, 3, God, let me know whether I'm off track with the person or this is not the right person. You need to have your benchmark. And when you pray to God, God, this is what I want to do. I'm using this as my benchmark, as my checklist. If I don't have everything, please help me to delete. And I just want to have not more than 4 so that I can be strategic. You know, being strategic means one at a time. Multitasking will not take you far. What is it one single thing you want to do concerning your faith? What is it that one thing you want to do with your finances? You want to cut down on ice cream? You get the point. And what is it one thing that I want to do with my savings? Maybe you can say every month I want to save 100 Ghana. In a year, I would have made 1,200. Or the next 6 months, if I save 100 Ghana, I have 600 Ghana. And 600 Ghana is a lot of money. God, what business can I start with 600 Ghana? And if you go to somebody and say, I have 600 Ghana, I have a business which costs me about 2,000. The person will say, oh, I'm dealing with an investor. He knows what he wants. It is easier to add on to somebody who knows what he or she wants with a startup than for somebody who comes empty-handed, holding an iPhone that costs maybe 15,000 Ghana cedis. So these are some of the hints that I can give. Yeah.
So God asked Moses that what do you have in your hand? You must always go with something. Most people go and then they want help. And you look at them, you can tell you don't need help. They need advice. They want loan. I tell you, you don't need loan. Then they say you are an enemy. You don't like them. Because if you go and you want someone to help, someone who has struggled to build something, he wouldn't dash them to you for you to go and waste them. He wants someone who he can trust. If you're able to save, then it means you can save more if you have more. If you have less and you can save, then if you have more, definitely you can also save that. Other thing that can affect our dreams on how to strategize is like he said, fear. Some people catastrophize. Anything they do, whatever they are going to do, they think about the what if it doesn't work. And so they pause. And then the pause takes them so many years to be done with the whole idea of pausing. Then there are those who also procrastinate. Or so, oh, don't worry. Oh, next year I will do it. Next year comes. By the time where somebody is 5 years planning to get married. And then if you use the statement, the conditional statement, if I get money, I'll start a business. If I meet somebody, I will do this. If I complete university, I will do this. You will never accomplish anything because your mind will be divided. Your mind is waiting for that condition to be satisfied before it moves to the next one. So if I get money, I'll start a business. So it means if you don't get money, no business is starting. So we should condition our mind so that our mind will be free. So I'll start a business. When the money also comes, I'll add. It should be such a way that each of them should be independent on their own, and then they should be working through the system. Because you don't know. Sometimes you will see someone who is looking for someone who is doing something to help, not someone who is waiting for something. A lot of us have been waiting too long to be happy. And so if I get a good husband, I'll be happy. If I get a good marriage, I'll be happy. If my father was to be Bill Gates, I'll be happy. If I was to have a PhD, I'll be happy. You can't be happy if you are waiting to be happy. So let's set our own tones. Let's make our minds, let's empower our minds. You can train your mind to get anything you want to get, and your mind will help you to get it.
You can train your mind to get anything you want to get. If you just join us, we are having a discussion about Unwind, and then how to re-strategize for the rest of the year. So we have a few questions. I'll take one question from one of our viewers, King David. So King David wants to know how important resilience is in the process of unwinding and then re-strategizing, and then what strategies can help build it. How important is resilience in the process of unwinding and then re-strategizing, and what strategies can help build it? So this is a question from one of our viewers, David, and then you want to know how important resilience is.
Let me help him by using a real life situation. So there was a gentleman in a remote village in one of these European countries. He was a tour guide, and there's this huge mountain in their area that he normally helps people to climb. So one day they had visitors as usual, and he prepared to take them up. In fact, he has never been to the highest point of the mountain. So that's one of the dreams he had. But on this occasion, the weather forecast wasn't reliable. So they were in midpoint, and then there was so much snow. Visibility became very tough, so they couldn't see anything. Eventually, they have to go and hide in some cave. And they were frozen. In fact, they all died, except the gentleman. What did he do to survive? He chopped his legs off, because you normally freeze from the streams. Then it goes up. So when he realized he was freezing, he cut his legs off so that the freezing could stop or restart. By the time he was getting frozen, rescue came and he survived. Now, what is resilience? Resilience is bouncing back after a difficulty. That's what it means. So, a lot of us go through countless of challenges, but we still come back. Your father didn't take care of you, but you've completed university. That's a setback. Your family had no support, but now you can support yourself. So this gentleman came back, got prosthesis, and climbed this mountain to the highest point. That's a demonstration of resilience. After all the setback, he didn't give up. He went trained in the prosthesis. That's not his natural way of walking, but he used it and was able to climb the mountain to the highest point. So whatever your situation is, it shouldn't be the end. In fact, your troubles should be a resource to boost you moving forward. If you consider problems as the end, then you will not move on. But consider them as stepping stones, as support, as lessons, as advice, as a pusher for you to overcome this challenge ahead of you.
Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Tejapon, are there any adapts to what Dr. said?
I think Dr. said it all. Resilience, like I mentioned in the past, is coming from human mind. Jesus himself was super resilient. You get the point?
Yes.
So he's our anchor, he's our leader. Once we embrace him and once we submit, you see, sometimes you can be a Christian and your heart might be misaligned with the will of God. And that's where we struggle. So it is extremely important. You know, in our part of the world, we don't take time to do self-reflection. Elsewhere, they work, they say, I'm going on holidays, they go somewhere, they sit, and they look back my life, and they come back with fresh ideas. You get the point?
Yes.
We may not have the resources to do so, but maybe one weekend, go to your family or go to your village, very quiet place, and then 2-3 hours, sit down and look into yourself, take some hard decisions, some friends you have to cut off, you know. It's a hard choice, but if you want to move ahead, that's what you have to do. I say, okay, I want to start 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm giving myself the next 3 months. I need 2 or 3 trusted friends to give me feedback. Whether they feel I'm behaving in a weird way or now they see more life in me. You know, you need that feedback. And after 3 months, you can still go back and say, okay, this is what I did. It's like review. And then over time, you can package something that speaks to you. And like Doc is saying, you see, if you're a vision bearer and you align very well, God will always carry you on because that vision is coming from Him.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So we'll take another question from Anna Josephine Edusayesin. So, what advice would you give to leaders or managers who want to support their teams in unwinding and planning effectively for the rest of the year? So, Mr. Thejapon, we start with you on the question.
Number one, I want to rephrase it like this. Sometimes the word is leaders and managers.
Yes, please.
Everybody is a leader. I'm repeating. Every individual at every stage is a leader. I mean, that's why you go to a primary school, they say somebody is a cupboard monitor, somebody is a class prefect. You get the point?
Yes, sir.
So leadership is across all ages. The mistake that sometimes we do is to assume that leadership is those up there.
Power.
You get the point?
Yes,
Yeah, Doug, thank you. Leadership is about those holding political position. But you and I, we hold power. Now we are on the program.
Yes.
So wherever you are, what can you do to be different? What can you do to be useful to yourself, to your parents, to your community? You get the point?
Yes, sir.
You are holding your parents' name. It's a legacy. What can you do to hold that legacy so that that name, that legacy can be useful? You're a child of God. What is it that you know that somebody out there can hear the message of Christ so that that person can also get some relief? So for me, this will be my input.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Doc, any advice?
Yes, so there's one aspect of life that we are not taking seriously. That is team building. Then there's also emotional intelligence. In fact, it is accepted fact that emotional intelligence makes people more successful than the intelligence we all know, the IQ thing. Because usually when you are very intelligent, you tend to think others are waste. And as if you are very intelligent and you are the leader of a team, you may underrate almost everybody and consider your ideas as superior. But when you have emotional intelligence, you regard every idea as important and then incorporate it into the whole setup system. So to help them unwind, unwind?
Yes.
Yes. There's the need to train them in emotional intelligence. You add it to the listening.
Yeah.
Also train them in team building. You need everybody's support. You see, when you have a friend, okay, who always takes money from you, and you start abusing them because they always take money from you. But this friend is the only guy who, anytime you are busy, he's there to take care of that business for you. And you think he's useless. He's very useful because that's his strength and that's the support he adds to you as a person. You're also adding something to him because he doesn't have the financial resources. And so when you think, okay, you bring the money, so you are more important than the one who is providing the physical availability support, then you are not emotionally intelligent. Again, when you come to our marriages and our relationship, the same thing applies. Maybe you are the one who holds the financial powers, but with money without all the other support is waste. In fact, money without people is the most wasteful thing you can ever think about. Can you imagine being a rich person and you organize a birthday party for your child and nobody is coming to that party? Your child will beat you up.
Yes.
In that same way, if you have a daughter and you want to organize a befitting wedding and you have no friends, your wife, your daughter has no friends, then it's going to be you, your wife, and then your two kids, and your daughter will also curse you. So you need these people, you need all other people, including the ones you don't even know, to come and eat. Because if it is only when they come around that they say this is a very strong or a very successful wedding. Oh, Charlie, this wedding, oh, Charlie, people came on. Where from these people? You need to connect with these people. So as a leader, you must create some kind of connection. In fact, it is important. It is becoming a growing interest where, as a leader, try to know the birthday of everybody under you. You remind them, even if you can't celebrate it with them, remind them, send them some messages, let them feel part of the team, and they will give of their best. But if you make them feel they are useless, they don't know anything, they don't have anything to offer you, just because all you need is what you think you know, then you will lose them and you will fail, because they need to be there to support you to succeed.
Thank you very much, sir. Today's topic has been interesting and then insightful, but then unfortunately you would have to draw the curtains. But then before we do that, we'll take a few comments or final comments from our guest speakers, Mr. Tejapon and then Dr. Eric Owusu. Doc, please, what are your final comments for us and then the viewers?
So we need to learn to rest. Learn several methods that you can rest, and it should align with your body's way of resting. Okay. Then after you've done that, you should also connect with people. You need social support. You need them badly in this stressful environment, especially, when you live in an economy that is trying to survive. You need people. Sometimes all you need is somebody encouraging you. Then you also need to develop your emotional intelligence. Very, very important. If you want to go far, they say you go far with what? People. And then you can only go fast alone. But far to where you want to get to, you need people. So build that people, these people, like he said, build people you can trust. Not people who just give you full respect because of the little thing they get from you. Oh, everything you do is good. No way. Get people who can tell you the truth. They should tell you that even though you've given them 500 CD this morning, they should tell you what you are doing is wrong. It won't help you because that's what they see. But if you have friends who, Charlie, master, when you get to the end and you realize that they will leave you because you can't sustain them again.
Thank you very much, Doc. So please, a final comment.
Yes, my final comment is for you to practice how success looks like. So in most of your meetings, at all levels, introduce this concept. Let people draw how success looks like, yeah? And own them. And then you can even enter into a prayer. God, this is how my business will look like. Is there anything I've missed? Speak to me. You get the point?
Yes.
Now, when you cultivate this habit, it becomes, you'll be surprised, even when you dream, you'll be seeing the pictures refined. And the question is, who is talking to you in your dream? Yeah? And then you package them into smaller units, like I mentioned. Unless you're able to visualize success, the road is always blocked. Because there's more failure ahead. You hear more failures than success. But when you own it and you see success, you get the internal motivation, the internal energy to pursue it. And then you also seek advice. I want to reinforce what Doc said. In the era of AI, I think cognitive intelligence is becoming an issue. So self-awareness, self-regulation, social skills, these are the benchmarks that will allow you to thrive in this complex market environment. And thank you for having us.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Now, one of the ways to unwind and then re-strategize is self-awareness. And tonight, our guest speakers were Mr. Tejapon, who is a psychotherapist and also a management consultant. And our second guest was Dr. Eric Owusu, who is a psychologist and also a lecturer at UHAS, Hohoi campus. Thank you very much for joining us, sirs.
Thank you.
God richly bless you. It was wonderful having you tonight.
Thank you.
Hello, viewers. Thank you for joining us on this week's edition on Let's Talk About. See you next week. Bye.